Didn't see you there. It's me, Thomas Edward, and welcome to another Lost Steam Shed video with yours truly, T. And I'm just stood near this public footpath because we're actually going to have a bit of an adventure getting down to this shed. And I should tell you, I'm in Carnforth as we speak, but not looking at the shed you'd think I'd be looking at near the station. I'm looking at a very much lost but not forgotten shed, what's used now as like a truck workshop or as a bit of an industrial sort of use now. But it's actually, it's not just any steam shed, it's actually a roundhouse. So it's had a really good purpose when it had steam in it. And we're up here at the back of Carnforth, and I've come to this little public footpath because we're going to go down there over that little stile and show it you, because it's nice and hidden, tucked out the way, and I like a good tucked out the way shed. And I should say it actually is still standing, so you can see actually what it looked like. But we're going to go over here through this new housing estate, what they've still got the path through it. Oh, well, this is the Carnforth to Leeds line down here, 2-track line. But this lovely bridge what I'm standing on here is the pathway to the lost shed we've come to see today. What's a Midland shed. But come down here, let's go and look at it in a bit more detail. So I didn't think we could get this close to it and look at it in this much detail. I thought we'd have to poke a camera through gates at front and mither a load of builders. Here, this big fine shed here, and it's still got all its proper sort of railway red brick and sort of the darker brick round the arch. It's had a bit of reinforcement on this wall here. Some like angular sections put in, probably back walls not plumbing, it's falling out because it is listed. So this shed here is the Midland shed. It was built in 1857 and it shut in 1944. And what's special about it is it's a roundhouse rather than a normal shed with lots of like roads in it. This is actually going one road, and there's a big turntable in the middle, and it'd have all like the stabled engines round the edge. And actually in the 1920s it had 61 engines stabled here. So I don't know, I wonder how many roads it had inside. It's quite wide, and I will show you when we go down there. But the back of the shed's got that very Midland look to it. If you know Midland railway stuff and the stations and the sheds and everything they sort of built in that area, it has a very Midland look to it. But yeah, you can see down there's a big wagon, a little truck coming down. It's a very much an industrial place this is now. And I looked very recently, but this shed, I don't know if it was the land in front, was selling for about 400,000. So it went for a lot of dosh quite recently. But it's actually in 1989 it got grade 2 listed, this shed. So they can't obviously, because they've had to reinforce it, they can't knock it down and rebuild it again because it's listed. And you can see along the top of the roof there, obviously it's had a new roof on it, but the very top bit looks like it's asbestos, and this lower bit's all tin and it's been patched up where it's been leaking. But if you look down the edge of the tin roof, it's still got cast iron gutters in it. Obviously they've put plastic downpipes, but the cast iron gutters are still there. What are probably an original feature then when it was built. So they're very, very old, proper cast iron, wrought iron I should say. But as you know, it's just got trucks in it now, and the door got bricked up, and it's got a different entrance in further down from what I can see on pictures. But online, there's not many pictures of this in its heyday. It's more pictures now of work with motor vehicles in it rather than locomotives. But we'll go and have a look down there, buddy. We'll go and have a look. Actually, they're doing a bit of digging work down here. What? These windows. Oh. Just think, you could come here in the 1930s, 20s, even earlier as a wee boy, and you could look for these back windows and you could see real locomotives in there, just stabled round the turntable with maybe the midday or the morning sun coming in through cracks in ceiling. Lighting up all engines, but now it's you can't see any of that. They've just breeze blocked it up, so you can't see anything because everyone wants to nick everything now. So there's nothing like that anymore. So they don't want the trucks nicked. But look, it's all still got like original single pane glass, what's obviously all being smashed up. But it's still got the original sort of like cast iron surrounds, what's quite good. It's still survived, and all of them, all the cast iron surrounds have survived. But obviously, at some point, the whole back wall's not been plumbed, and they've had to put these through it. Well, obviously, it's loose. That it's not all the way through to stop it falling out. Bit of Fred Dibner and that, putting that in there. And then there's obviously new bits what they've added, new electrics and that. But if you wanted to see a building like this in 2022, a working one, well, it's preserved but it's working, you need to get yourself on train down to Derbyshire to Barrow Hill. But actually you've got to get the bus to Barrow Hill, that's another story. But get yourself to Barrow Hill, put your money in the tub, and it's a Midland shed like this, all the same sort of architecture of all like the windows and that, and the same sort of roof. And you get inside and you see a proper big turntable with the different roads around it. Or, if you like a bit of showbiz, get yourself Derby to the, I think it's called the RoundHouse, what's a theatre. T's older brother's actually played a bit of bass there. I think a couple of times, I think. So you can either go and see a bit of showbiz around house, or you can see one with still working trains in. Or you can come to Carnforth and see the remains of one. So there's still a few Midland stuff knocking about, obviously being repurposed or preserved. But there you go, this is Carnforth Midland shed. I am going to show you in this video the other shed, what we all know today. But I thought I'd come and show you this shed, because this is the main part of the video, because it's lost but not forgotten in the railway world. The everyday man will see this and just say, oh, it's an old building, that. But the railway-minded person will go, oh yeah, it's a Midland shed, that, and it's still there. But as you can see behind me, this big digger, there's a bit of David Bleasdale going on with diggers, not related to Alan Bleasdale. A bit of a few excavators and stuff, and I think they're actually going to start building houses on here, which is a shame. So this Midland shed will have neighbours soon, and people looking at it going, what an eyesore that is. And they don't realise this has been here since 1857, and it was there for, it's their problem if they want to buy a house next to it, because this is listed, but it will probably have some really posh houses on it soon on the edge of Carnforth. But over there, behind that excavator, you can see some trucks in the trees. A few of my Patreons, I think Johnny and Neo and Peter will know that is the famous Truckhaven truck stop. Tea likes to go and get nose bag, and it's a good cup of tea in there, and it's one of my favourite places around here. So that's over there, and it's going to, well, Pendolino's just coming past. It's one of my favourite places over there, but now it's not going to be surrounded by fields, it's going to have houses between it and town, so almost Truckhaven is going to be part of Carnforth soon. There's so much like building getting put in. But anyway, we'll go and look down there and see what else we can see of the old shed. Now, apparently in the front of the shed, I don't know how much we'll be able to see today, but the old water tower is still in place, and I think there's another little building as well. But we'll go down here and have a look. These have been windows here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 windows. Lower ones, but they've been bricked up. Look, these are really low, these are. Maybe these would have been mess room round back, where they've all had a bit of banter, all proper for railwaymen. Probably a bit of nose bag, maybe a bit of canteen at back, and blue overalls and a cap talking about banter, as railway men do. There's lots of banter goes on with drivers, and there'd be firemen and maybe a few guards and shunters in there chatting. Yeah, much banter, I think. But yeah, I was just looking here. Look, there's like bits of wood in the brick and holes. In there, interesting. It's good what you can find on in your back. You never know what's on your doorstep. You know what you're missing. Big electrical box here. That's an added feature from a later date, because look, it's built inside the window, and then some more higher windows over there and windows here. And here at the end, it's really gone out of plumb. And they've had to put some big cast iron sort of square brackets on it and some rods to stop up back end for it out. And you can actually see up there, but it's really going rotten while the brick's cumbering at the top. It's really going bad. So, but the thing is, it's grade 2 listed, so they can't knock it down. They've really got to keep on top of it. So that's the problem with grade 2 listed stuff, and especially because it's not a railway feature anymore. You just put trucks in it and you use the industry in it. It's probably not necessarily as important to them as if a railway preservation had this. They'd probably spend, the lotto would give them a couple of million, or do that up because it's history. But because it's got industry in it, it's none of that. And it just gets bodged up. Every year they bodge something up on it, and it goes round again. But what happens in another 100 years? Do they keep bodging it up, or do they someone have to give them some money to say, bit of history there, lads, you got to keep on top of that. So there you go. We've got another style down here. What a car park. Whoa, look at this. Whoa, we're going to get proper. This is a real treat with Thomas Edward. We're actually going to walk down a car park, right down the side of it, and we can actually go and look at a bit more detail at the shed. This might be interesting. I might have to swap over to a little DJI and get a bit of low-key footage for you. Well, I've walked down here over that stile. There's a guy sat in his car and his work break, and there's a back door there. We just had a dog foot back door, and it's all full of pallets. And as you can see on this side, they've had to strengthen this side, so pretty much the building is falling in on itself, but they can't do anything with it, so they've got to strengthen it up. But here, there's a mess room with a chimney on, probably like booking on office in there for drivers. And then here, I think this is water tower here, with these old buildings. Some of these buildings are new and being knocked together. That's original. That looks like a water tower to me, and that's like a proper booking on office. And he's got his fireplace in there, so I wonder what it looks like in there. Quite interesting, really. And we're going to walk down there and maybe try and look up for the fence. But there you go, that's the Midland Railway shed. And I didn't think this path went this close, so I thought you'd have to go for that field, but obviously maybe they might have re-diverted it a bit, because as you can see, they are building on here, and it's all full of rollers, dumpers, excavators, and many vans and class 88 with a load of containers. And that was a Brucey bonus, that was, with TE, an unplanned Brucey bonus, with a couple of tankers, a couple of fuel tankers on that. That's our very limited fuel sources on that train, but a lot of it's containers. So you never know when you come exploring with TE on these lost shed adventures, explores, you never know what you're going to find, and all like stuff like this. There you go. We'll go and see what else you can see of it, and then we'll take you to the other sheds, what everyone knows today. So anyway, this is front gate. It's locked off, and it's obviously very, very private. But there, that little building there is an original feature from the 1800s. And that's another little shed, and maybe a little maintenance shed that was, with some fitters in, or some locomotive engineers would be in there. But someone like today, we have he's more famous and narrow gauge. We have Nige Day, who's done lots of stuff for Raven Glass and Eskdale Railway, who's a genius how to make. He's very genius about making injectors and all sorts of stuff, but they'd have someone like him probably in that shed doing a bit of tinkering back in the day, but now it's obviously he's got diggers all in it. But there you go. You won't have thought that when you're driving to Carnforth down A6 to go to Aldi to get your nose bag, that you're going past an 1800s Midland Railway shed. Well, that's part of it, the big bit at the back. Oh, well, that's the end of part 1 of Midland Railway shed in Carnforth. 1857 to 1944, and next week probably, it might end up a week after, but who knows, when part 2 comes out, we'll be down at the other shed near Carnforth station, looking at history of the two sheds, what disappeared when that new shed got built and so forth. So if you've enjoyed today's video, make sure you give us a like and a subscribe and a comment below, and remember to click that big bell. Ding! Oh look, Thomas Plantyre. TE's invested a bit of cash in a bit of plant. No, I haven't actually. I wish I had. But anyway, this is the A6 behind me. Up there is going up to Cumbria. Truckhaven's up there. Milnthorpe is that way. Traveller's Choice is behind there, bus company. And up there, through underneath the Leeds line, that bridge, is Carnforth Town. So I'm going to go up there next and get down to the other shed.